Anyway, we do have a quorum. I'm here, Bob Heffernan, Robin Davis, Kimberly Brillier, and Carolyn Jones. Mike Hogan has a conflict. And Alvin and Amy are not here at the moment.
Okay, no reason why. Okay.
So the first item is the review of the March 17 minutes. I had only one suggestion, and that was changing finance manager to finance director.
Haven't changed.
Easy enough.
Well, my cards say manager.
If I change.
Can't afford new chairs.
What is your official title? Is it
It
manager?
is manager.
Okay, then we're gonna leave it as manager.
How did you write?
I had it down as director. I think I had it in the organizational part.
Look at that, he's already has it.
Managing, directing, it's all the same.
Okay,
So manager?
yep, we're gonna leave it as manager then.
Good.
You tried him.
I was misinformed. I misunderstood.
No, that was me.
Okay, do we
I didn't.
have to do a motion to approve or
Can I make a motion that we approve the minutes?
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item is the formal review and of the resolution that modified the creation and description and voting rights of the finance committee. And do need to take a vote so that this can be presented to the board.
Richard, you talked to Mike. Hoffman, right,
Yes,
and we're a committee of the board, or whatever. That's what he said,
yes,
The committee appointed by the board.
yes.
Committee appointed by the board,
Okay, yeah.
and the way it is, everybody gets a vote,
Yes.
except Sharon.
I'm not on the committee.
And
I'm sorry for that.
She just saying that. She like.
that was a discussion last time about it. So resolved and everybody should be happy, right?
Yes. This is mainly the red section, which
Yeah.
is the voting portion.
Right.
So we worded it properly. We need to have a motion and a vote.
I make a motion that we accept the new change.
Second.
Any discussion?
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Sharon, can you add that to the regular, our next?
Yes, I'm going
meeting?
to
Ready?
send it over to Mike and he will put his stamp of approval on it and then we'll add it to the agenda.
The next is the, well, next three items, actually. We have capitalization threshold and purchase authorization and capital budget. And staff has helpfully made a recommendation for 3.1 capitalization threshold of doubling the current amount that was 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Um,
and also adding in the useful life of 1 year.
Okay. Any further discussion on it?
Well. Yeah. I mean, $10,000 seem, I mean. I think the stuff right. But, $10,000 seems low. To me.
So I did look up DMEC, who is our joint action agency. They make about 5 times the revenue we do, and their threshold is set at 50,000. So I also
Which is
use
just
that as a
based on what you-
reference.
Well, I mean. And periodically, somebody makes you go and say, where is that tag number? And, you know, sort of evaluate it. I don't know.
You still think it should be higher?
I think it could be higher. But
What difference will it make in the, regardless of what number we put in here, is there a difference that should be considered,
So
making it whatever the number is?
the difference would be how it's expensed. If it's capitalized, it's gonna be expensed through its useful life, through depreciation expense on the revenue and expenses reports. If it is not capitalized, it comes in all at once on whatever line it belongs to of improvements, tools, wherever it goes, wherever it belongs.
And so does that imply that the budget gets impacted sooner
Because it is.
with if it is, one or the other?
Yes,
And
It's a matter
so,
of hitting one time or disseminating.
or spreading it out.
the end result's gonna be the same. It's gonna be the same expense at the either end of its useful life or all at once.
Right. So from a budgeting standpoint, is there an argument or some input as to limiting versus, oh, we should make it more relevant to how much things cost now? Not sure I'm saying this correctly.
There you are, what's the logic of doing it now versus spreading?
It's just that the price of everything is substantially higher than in 2005.
Right?
And to actually be caught up to that, I think it needed to be reviewed, and instead of pages of assets of 5,000, 6,000, 8,000, we can get rid of that as well and clean that up.
So
but how would you do that? I mean, something.
It
that
will
costs
take
six-
place, it'll take place from now on, like I can't,
So something with
Yeah.
$6,000 purchase price. And 5-year life would still get depreciated over that. What are typical lives of this stuff? I mean,
it has to be at least 1 year
Yeah.
useful life to be capital, but most of our infrastructure is 20 to 50 years. Cause most of it's like under the ground.
Oh.
That's the biggest impact.
yeah, but.
Yeah.
Pumps and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. They're 3 to 10
How many
years.
things do you
depending
have
on
on the
whether-
asset list?
I don't know the
How many-
correct answer to that, but a lot.
How many pages?
I think it's like 11 pages.
But your concept is to merely bring this up to date,
Yeah,
and in
To-
your mind, 10,000 is the number we should be working with, at least to start with.
Can-
yes.
Can you take everything that's 10,000 and below in there and kind of
I
group it? And
I could
make-
read,
Make your,
Yeah.
make your life easier for the next several years.
so I could retire assets that are in there now, and it would bring it all to depreciation all at once. Or I can let them live their
Like,
grandfathered in life, and then starting now on, or when it gets adopted by the board. Either way, I can do it.
So you got 1,000 or 2,000 items in there. Right?
It's a lot. I would say at least hundreds.
Hmm?
Hundreds, I don't know about thousands, but
I mean, I could argue 20,000 and. You know,
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I was just thinking of like a gradual increase.
As opposed to 20,000 off the bat. I mean, you're gonna do that based on how it's rolling.
Yeah.
I understand that.
all right, how about a, you sort of review this in 3 years?
Yeah, addition
Something
of,
like that,
to add, this is to be reviewed every 3 years. To be
something
reviewed.
like that?
Yep.
Because, you know, in some ways, you tag all this stuff. Go out there and put a little grass.
Like
tag.
inventory,
Yeah, well, yeah.
no, we don't have any tags or anything like that. So when it goes into the field, the field staff actually has sheets and they'll make up for me of what they move from inventory to the field, and then I'll make it an asset.
Well, his point actually is tracking it, and your
Yeah.
idea of reviewing it again in 3 years is probably the best route to go.
Yeah, I agree that it should be reviewed.
Yeah, me too.
Is there a play of starting to do electronic tagging?
Yes.
Would that help things?
There are options in our accounting system that does allow electronic. We will need some new equipment, like the scanners and readers, and then just the training and education on how it flows
Long
through.
term, that would be helpful.
I would say yes.
So, we'll shut up and
No, keep
we
going.
can do it every
Either
3
way.
years, okay, I think that's fine, it's just.
As long as it's reviewed.
So 10,000 and then add to
To
review.
be reviewed, and I put to be reviewed in 3 years.
Do you want to, align it with the recommendation at the fiscal year, like we did the other one?
Yes.
Okay,
What was that?
Align it with the fiscal year.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
prior to the fiscal
Yeah.
year.
It's a good way to keep a track of.
Okay, we don't have to take a vote on this, right?
We just have to say, yes, we can send this to the board. Yeah, so you do have to vote.
Okay.
That you wanna send it to the board.
All saying yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All in
Yeah.
favor, aye.
It's a lot like voting.
Okay, the next item was purchase authorization.
So I didn't make a recommendation for this because I can go either way on this. Right now, anything over 2,500 requires a purchase order and GM approval. I do think that's low, but I do also like staff being held accountable for if you're making a large purchase of explaining why you
Well,
are.
it's one way to keep control of it.
Yeah,
You know, you can easily bring it up to 5, but by the same token, it puts a lot more weight on. Of worrying about who's watching and who's doing
Yeah.
what.
so.
And these numbers are working now.
Mhm.
Okay.
There's not some glitch or something that we're catching of, hey, it making it higher makes it easier or harder.
And also, we do have an internal process for invoice approval. If it's over 2,500, it has to go to GM for approval. If it's under 2,500, it's just me and Richie. Me and
Well, I
Richie
put a
can-
note to myself and I said, I see no reason
Yeah.
to change it if it's working.
Yeah, I that's why I said I'm not opposed to either way. That's why I didn't make a
But
recommendation.
2,500 gets a purchase order written.
Yes,
Yeah.
that has to be approved by GM.
It's not
Before they can
credit
even
card
purchase it.
and-
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that.
Okay,
So we're leaving that.
yes.
Do you have any input, GM?
Yeah, that's fine.
No, you're good, okay. Just didn't know if you're like stop bothering me for $2,500 or.
Again, it is like everything that's, the price is going up, but
Yeah.
you still, just because the price is going up, you don't want to automatically let somebody just.
Yep.
Okay, the 5-year
Okay.
budget,
So this is just so broad, just 5-year capital budget, that's what it is.
There's not a whole lot more you
Yeah.
can say about that.
So, I actually did this for capital, I changed it to capital budget. I did save the explanation and added capital additions. Instead of just improvements, renovations, repairs.
Oh, I see.
And that we require 5-year but strive for 10-year to assist in rate setting projections. And that it must be approved annually by the board prior to the start of the new fiscal year.
That's your rewrite.
which should be the 5 or the 10?
5-year required.
The 5
minimal.
doesn't change, she's just.
No,
expecting-
I did change it
Oh, you
to
did?
capital budget.
Oh, take the 5 off.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's that's the
Oh.
3.11.
I think
Yeah.
what Richard was saying on that last sentence, the capital budget must.
Oh,
be-
yeah, I see
So
it.
so make that
Okay.
a 5-year capital budget must be approved.
Well, what
Well-
he's saying is
Yeah.
taking one finger button, right?
No, it's just, we are about to reveal the 10-year financial framework. That it will take place, it will be, in fact, a mechanism for a 10-year budget. And whether we are having any reference to that or not. And whatever budget we are approving, just to be clear, it's the 5-year. That's what we really want, an approval each year. There's nothing wrong with that.
You
But-
simply say the plain capital budget is too vague and it needs to be more specific.
For the approval
That's what,
of what we're presenting to the board, are we presenting 5 years or 10 years?
yeah, that's what you need to get clear right
Yeah.
now.
All right,
So. What are we saying?
so is there, what's the reason for striving for a 10-year budget? I'm not, I sort of understand, I'd like to see,
So we're already going above and beyond GASB requirements for 5 years.
right,
So I put the striving for 10 years to mention that that's actually what we want, but if for some reason we can only get 7 years or.
That's your
something,
main
that-
goal.
Yeah, that 5 years has always been our threshold,
okay,
but we strive to do more.
5 years is sort of actionable.
Yes,
That's a good way of putting it.
You know, like, yes, we gotta deal with the sewage treatment plant. Um. The 10 years can be everything. It can be a lot of speculation, like
Mhm.
maybe everybody's gonna have an electric car. And, you know, our regulation things, so.
So do we even,
Well, in my mind, it's hard enough to do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year plan.
yeah,
A 10-year plan is a bit much.
yeah, so do we
Yeah.
just
It's
do it
not
as 5
reality.
years?
The
as-
5-year makes
That's
sense.
the
10 years
presentation
is
to the
not-
board, and then, and we know in the finance committee that we're trying to do 10 years.
Yes, but
to
in
help with
reality,
projections.
it's hard enough to do a 3-year, never mind a 5-year.
I agree.
yeah, unless we see that in the hereafter, we know how to do 10 years and it's working,
Yeah,
which will be a long time from now.
yeah,
It'll
nothing
be-
to be on the table at the
Right.
moment.
But
Okay,
5 years is a step out from where we are now, is it not?
5 years is what we do already,
I started to say.
Yeah.
But it changes.
but usually, yeah, every year that we bring back the 5-year, it doesn't just move up 1 year, it always
Really?
changes.
See, that's the bottom line,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I
Yeah.
mean, stick with what you have and
Yeah.
that makes sense. As opposed to possibly, I
Yeah,
can't even
until
fathom
you
doing
have a
10 year.
proven
Yeah,
other system.
Okay, so I'm gonna change 311 back to 5-year
5-year.
capital budget.
Right.
And then read it as the capital budget represents the budget for the expenditures for major repairs, renovations, and or capital improvements or additions to Lewes BPW property and infrastructure. Take out the whole next sentence. The capital budget must be approved annually by the board prior to the start of the new fiscal year.
Right. Right,
Okay.
right.
But
We would hope.
was there a reference to 5 years in there?
Yeah, I'm gonna make that as the top. I mean, it's implied that it'll be 5 years because the title's gonna be 5 years.
Change the
capital budget,
title.
Okay,
But I can add it there too.
right, just
No,
as long as it's the 5
I
years.
mean,
got
the old one,
reference.
old one you gave us said 5 years.
Yeah.
So just continue with what you have.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I.
Number
motion to
8
accept it.
is progress.
I made a motion to accept it all thing.
Aye.
Aye. Number 8. Kimberly, can you give us an update on?
Audit is in full swing. It started, the week of April 21st, 22nd, whatever that one day was. They give us a whole list of their requests of what they need. That has all been put into the share folder. They're starting to review it. I'm getting requests about every other day of specifications, their samples that they're pulling for the backup.
What is this, a wish list?
A requirement. Their
Okay.
requirement, and then, so what they do to check validity, they pull samples. So like, they'll pull 50 check payments. And then they ask for all the invoice backups, and then we'll do a Teams meeting. And I pull up the accounting system to show that that's where all the invoices were and who
Hey,
it was
where was your
approved
audit?
by.
This your auditors.
Yes,
Who's your auditor?
Z&A.
Who is it?
Z&A, Zelenovsky and
I-
Axelrod.
I don't know them. They weren't the same for. the city.
Yeah, they do specialize in municipalities.
Okay, let me ask you some basic stuff. They come in and meet with you.
Everything's virtual.
Well,
They used to.
when do they
Yeah.
come in and meet with you?
So
When
they
it's
used,
finished?
they used to come in and meet with us before COVID. After COVID, it switched to virtual. It was still just as smooth as being in person. So that's what we kept it as.
Are you happy with it?
Yes.
Let's see. I'm a hands-on person. I'm
So-
totally different. I meet with the auditors. Go over things, discussion at the table of things that they didn't even think of or what have you.
Yeah.
But if you're happy with that, I respect that.
So we're all of our communication is electronic, Teams meetings, emails.
Okay,
we
so.
have the drop folder that
when
we
you,
share.
when they reach a point of, in their mind, preliminary report of when they think they have what they have, do they come in and talk with you then?
No, they'll send the report over for my review, and then we usually schedule a meeting.
Who's
To
the
go
meeting
through.
with?
The auditors, me and general manager.
Okay,
It's generally
at
what
what
it is.
point does it take in this group?
It'll probably be after that initial meeting of things that I'll flag,
Mhm.
and then it'll come to you guys, and I'm sure you'll.
Okay, so
Probably
you
catch.
meet with them, go over stuff with them. Okay, how about prior to meeting, prior to having them come in, you meet with us and we go over it again, and then you bring them in. So that we have
Okay.
some leeway of looking at it. I'm old school, you have to excuse me, but I believe in looking at stuff.
Yeah.
And we could go over things with you that possibly were missed or you didn't
Mhm.
think of, or we didn't think of. And then you come in and have them do a presentation to this group.
I'm
I
okay
think
with that.
I think that's a good idea,
Okay.
because
Cause things, you know,
Yeah, there's no doubt that we want the audit review prior to final sign off
no question,
with the financial committee
absolutely.
in an appropriate appropriate sequence that's most effective to allow our
Input,
input and
absolutely,
review
absolutely.
before it's finally
Mm-hmm,
done.
I think that's some protection for you.
sure it is.
Because there's just another set of eyes and, I once took a whole course and the course was, the guy handed out annual reports.
Hmm.
And if we only had the internet at that time, you would have found that none of these companies made it.
See, the thing that I experienced before is that, and I remember probably maybe the first year I was on the council when I did an audit with them, because I have always done audits. The guy came in and his final wording was something that really bothered me. It was, wish I could remember exactly what it was. It had to do with we didn't have something in order, but it was okay. And I said, it doesn't work that way. And that's the language he used came across that the city did not have such and such in place. I said, that's absolutely incorrect. You don't have it for us to have that in place.
Right.
Or we don't have auditors. That's what we're paying you for. So the reason I'm this way is because,
Yeah.
you know, you get in the habit of looking at something and it never dawns on you. The language seems like it's fine.
Yeah.
But another eye, a different person catches what you are just comfortable doing, and it's less to do with you personally, it just has
Yeah,
to do with the
I agree.
auditing aspect of it.
Yeah, it's not to get it done, it's to get it
Yeah.
done right.
Yeah.
And,
Because remember, this is going out to the people. People will see this way.
you know, and the rest of the board won't get anything other than here's the audit report,
Correct.
you know.
And then that is,
If they don't see something that says like subject to the continuation of the firm,
Exactly.
assuming the continuation of BPW,
Yeah.
they won't pick it up.
and that is another question that they generally present to the board at a board meeting. If they're presenting to the finance committee, do we still want them to come into the board? Or are we just going to the board suggesting adoption and approval of the audit?
Let me back up for a minute. How have you done it in the past with the board? Have you been the last person to review it and see it and then given it to the board? Have you ever had your auditors presented to the board?
I've never presented.
Okay, I had my auditors reported to our board, to our the council. But you know, there's a plus and a minus to that. Not everybody's numbers oriented. Okay, so you make sure the ones that are number oriented get that before time so they can do what they need to do with it. But it's a good idea to have that auditor in front of your people. And
So-
for a presentation, as opposed to you doing it.
I agree with you, Carolyn, that the board's trying to make a decision.
Yes.
The board's gotta accept the audit.
Yes,
The
the one who's
board-
standing in front of
The
me.
board should get the auditor, not,
Exactly,
hey, we did it.
Yeah, so the,
precisely, it's exactly what I mean.
the auditor usually presents on their findings, not so much financial, of that, what their opinion is, internal controls,
Yeah, they do
things
that.
of that nature. They don't really go into the numbers.
No, but they do finite the areas that may be of concern.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I understand that.
So it makes sense that I think that we have our input with the auditors and Kim before that presentation by the auditors to the
Yeah,
board.
absolutely.
So the auditor will still present to the board.
So that it's not like we never saw it,
Exactly.
and it's not like, oh, you know, we never got a chance,
The board appointed us, and we're supposed to be the eyes.
right.
So by the time they get it, they feel, and as I said, not everybody's a numbers person, but they feel comfortable because they know it was put before the people who are supposed to.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
What's the timeline for presenting to the board? The auditors presenting to the
It's
board?
usually presented in July or August and then approved the month later.
Okay. And in that time frame, what would you suggest may be a time frame for us to review the audit at an appropriate time? June?
June, yep, June-ish.
Okay.
Because you
Okay, this being Mayish.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And we do have, we are subject to single audit act, cause we have over $1 million of federal awards. Between, Donovan Smith, the water tower and canal crossing.
What's
So that will be an
explain
additional,
that? I didn't understand what you said.
whenever a municipality, public entity gets more than $1 million of funds from federal aid, it has to be a separate report. So we will be doing that this year.
And how is that part of what goes to the board, or is it a separate incident?
I believe it should all be presented to the board, yes, but it is its own separate report that will get sent to. Like, I have to send it to Denrec for them to send it to federal.
So there's this special $1 million audit that will go to Denrec, that the board approves, sees, doesn't see. You mentioned that it's going to.
They should see, they should see it, yes.
Denrec should see it.
No, the board.
The board,
The
the board has to be
yes.
cognizant of
Okay,
this.
but that's not part of the audit. That's right.
What she's saying is it
It
is.
is.
It's, yes,
So it's gonna be part of the audit. so-
yeah,
All right.
the audit process,
And
it's
it-
gonna be its own
And
report.
explain to the board exactly what it is, as opposed to just rolling something in with the
Yeah.
audit. Yes.
Is that something that really is separable? Sounds like it's separable, $1 million of.
So, yes, it only happens if you
Yes.
meet that threshold.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's they're looking for that when they know that they gave you aid.
But
Okay,
presumably it's gonna be. We got a lot of, Donovan Smith's gonna be
Yeah, that's why.
there for a long time, and so we'll be doing this
Um,
for.
Donovan Smith,
What else?
with it coming to an end, I don't know if it's gonna meet the threshold for this fiscal year.
And what falls under that? Give me a couple of-
So you have to receive the funds.
No, I don't mean from that perspective, which Donovan Smith and this.
It has to be from federal aid, so, DHSS and DENREC, Delaware Health and Social Services and Delaware Natural Resource.
Yes, I was wondering.
Yeah.
How many do you have? Do you have a lot? that
Those
fall
are,
into that
those are
category?
just the three, and then the
Okay.
ARPA funds that we've gotten from the city.
You've already. Hasn't all
That-
closed yet?
So we just have to report that we
Oh,
have it, that
okay.
we haven't no expenditures.
Okay.
Um, that, money is funneled to state. And then the state, entities decide what to do with it. Like DENREC processes it to become state funds, while,
They just basically want you to justify where the hell you put the money.
yep, and then DHSS
Okay, I got you.
does not
I got you.
process
You
it.
don't have to go any further.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So-
I mean, from my perspective, I don't mean.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I-
but
Yeah.
I understand.
So if we treat that as a separate report, separate audit, is that separate audit something that can be done in conjunction with the regular audit
Yes,
and our review, as
Yes.
opposed to now we've just doubled the number of meetings and reviews?
No, it has to be a part of the whole.
yeah, it's
Okay.
a part of the whole thing.
It
Okay.
has to be, but it
Is
has to be a
it
part of
like
the
a
whole.
supplemental,
Uh-huh.
Yes,
like an annex, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Exactly. Mhm.
And we're targeting that also for
Yeah.
this end of June or
Yeah.
whatever.
Thank you for that explanation.
Mhm.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Number 9, potential future agenda topics. I have 2. One is 3.7, which is in the investment policy,
Oh, sure,
which we're
right.
wolfing around with at the moment.
Mhm.
And the second is the 10-year financial framework to review that. Can you give us an update on
Yep.
that?
So I have all of the capital expenditures done, all of the operating expenditures done. I'm starting on the debt and grants now. And then I'll just have to fill out the history of like the cash And then everything else should be auto-populating from all the other information. So it should not take very long from here that all the hard work is done now.
Okay.
To auto-populate all the front pages.
So Friday?
Yeah, absolutely. I got it.
See how quietly he did?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Good,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, the investment guidelines is gonna take us long enough.
Yeah.
If you go in, if you're really interested in doing it, right?
Mhm.
The city has an interesting presentation about that.
A little confusing, but anyway,
Well,
yeah,
it's confusing, but some of their buckets make some sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, I definitely think there's elements that we can use.
But of course, we'll renumber them. You know, A is now.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna do ones, twos, and threes, and then they're gonna do A's, B's, and C's.
I'm not saying anything. To each his own.
Yeah.
So the first page of the
Mhm.
table of contents of the policies. The asterisks were things identified of having financial impact potential. So those are also candidates for future agenda topics,
Okay,
other than what may turn out to be, local issues that we need to resolve.
okay. Quite a list there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, we did 1, 2, and 11,
Yes,
so we're
yeah, you're
on our way.
burning it up here.
We're setting precedent.
Everything else is red, what? Okay. Okay.
All right, anything else? Anybody want to stay for lunch?
No, I have to go vote.
Adjourning.
I'll be here for lunch.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second. All in
you.
favor?
Aye. Thank you very much for your time. Great.
Thank you. Thank you all for